Right. Good morning once again. All welcome.
Morning, sir.
This was the notebook of our work so far. I know we just stepped into another topic last time, which was data selection. If I could remember, when we started the data selection, I haven't done with data inspection techniques and data cleaning techniques. Started looking at data selection. And I hope you can confirm that as well. And we are using these Amazon data sets, what I have here. So let me just go straight to the last.
Lock.
So we stopped at iLog. Okay,
I
good.
lock.
iLog. So which I said they are
Was
Python
thinking with me.
inbuilt function for data filtering, right?
Yes, sir.
Remember that we have lock before iLog.
Yes, sir.
And I told us that once one is used to select data based on the integer, while the other one is based on the label. That is the header description. So this is the slide we have been working on. I know we've done data concatenation, done this. Want you to be confirming as well. So let me just
Yes.
go
So,
straight. Let me just go.
so
We have done sorting, right?
yes, I said today we are supposed to enter data filtering.
Data filtering. Yes, that data filtering should be under this slide. If I am not mistaken, let me keep going. Have we done this? I believe we must have done data,
Yes.
done all this. Okay, so this is the log and the iLog. So this is where I explain them. Filtering of
Yes, sir.
data, right?
Yes, sir. This is where you said we are going to start today.
Okay, so filtering of data. This is it. Filtering of data. Okay, so let's quickly start from here. Now, the other method we have been using, it actually falls under filtering, but I decided to focus on this because there are certain data selection you might want to do that any of those ones that I have covered may not be able to attend to. So there are different techniques due to the question, the analysis question you want to answer. So those ones can actually help you to select certain part of your data, just like we achieved with log and iLog. But there are still other pure analysis selection. Don't forget that these selections, they are geared towards drawing or finding meaningful insights that can be used to make effective decisions. So another powerful feature of pandas is the ability to filter data according to a predefined criteria or threshold. So here we want to select data based on a defined criteria or threshold. Now, the criteria here signify selecting data based on string criteria. For example, if I could just go back to our data set, now we are using data 2. Okay, this is the data here. If I am asked to display or select only record from to value, that is criteria data selection in this context. Now, but if I am asked to select value in a particular column, for example, let's assume that we have this unit sold and we are asked to to select value greater, that is, we want to display only values greater than a particular number, let's say greater than 2,000. That is going to be data filtering by threshold. That is what I'm trying to picture here. So now I have a simple analysis question, though it does not tally with the data we are working with. So we will go back to our notebook and be able to construct an equivalent question that can be answered with these techniques as well. So here I was working with another type of sales inventory entirely that has invoice, branch, city, customer type, gender, product line, unit price, quantity, tax paid, that is 5% tax paid by the customer, total dates, and total dates. We have payments, we have time, payments or transaction happened. We have COGS, we have margin, and then we have gross income. So I drafted analysis question that can be answered with this filtering technique, which says, let's say we want only record with e-wallet payment method in the above data set. So what we are indirectly saying is that from this entire data set, we want to select or display or filter only where payment is equals to e-wallet, which means that at the end of the implementation, this record will not be displayed because the payment is not equals to e-wallet. So what the function will do is to look into this data and display or fetch out only record where payment method is equals to e-wallet. Okay, so this is one of the filtering techniques. We are filtering questions. So I'm trying to put it in a real life scenario so that you know when you are expected to use filtering of data. Now, this is the syntax I use in answering that question. So this is the syntax. So I want us to quickly take note of it because I will switch back to my workspace to implement the syntax. So, but before then, let me explain the syntax so that we understand what we'll be doing once I switch to the notebook where we'll be deploying it. Now, this kind of question is to be answered with filtering technique. And what does the question say? The question says that from the whole of that sales inventory, we should filter out only record where payment method is equals to e-wallet. Now look at the syntax. This field is not a function. It's simply a variable which you can give your own desired name. Now equals to is an assignment operator, which means that you are storing the whole of this into what? The field as your variable name. Now the LP is the name of the data sets in which you have the payment as a feature description where you want to select values equals to e-wallet. And that is why you can see that, in other words, I concatenated the criteria for the filtering. In this case now, the payment method, the value under payment method is the criteria for the filtering. And that is why I concatenated that feature with the data set, which means that this is a sub-element inside this data frame. Now, this is where you are now defining the value here, the value under payment that should be used as criteria for the filtering. So you said equals to. Remember, I have said it before that where you have two equal sign in programming, it does not denote assignment. It denotes equality. Where you have just one equal sign, it denotes assignment operator, which means that a pipe that is used to add content into a variable. But in this case where you have it twice, it means that you are saying that this is equals to this. So this actually signify equality. Or sorry, I signify what? Quality or equality rather, which means that what this is what equals to this. So this is the aspect that we exempt other record under the payment, because you said equals to, so it must be exactly e-wallet before it can display it. Now, as we know, all this while, when you have a variable like this and you want to output the result of your analysis, you simply call the name of the variable. But in this case, it's a bit different. If you look at it here, I did not just call this just because I want to see the output. I have to reference the data set, then select. Remember, I told you that the square bracket means to select. That is from the entire data frame, you want to pick out some of the record. That is what you are actually saying here when you say LP select. In other words, from the LP being the data frame, select only what? Fit. What is fit in this case? Fit is the variable that is storing only record equals to what? E-wallet. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Emmanuel, did you understand that explanation? Because I want to switch to our data set.
No, sir. No, sir.
Are you following?
Yeah, I'm following. I'm trying to recollect it.
Okay,
The
so
filtering, yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to explain something, right?
No. It's just the synchronization of the call-up. That's the equation. That's the syntax for that. Sorry, the syntax
Okay,
itself.
so now if you look at this, let me just take it again. Now, I believe it will be clearer once I have implemented it with the data we are working with. But let me just run through it again. Now, this is variable. Do you understand this? That it is a variable which can be any name, not a function.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
I'll only use filter because I'm filtering. So I can decide to use Prosper. I can use any name. Now, the equals to, as we all know, is an assignment operator. The LP here represents your data set or data frame, where you have a column named payments, like the data I just showed us here. Remember, I explained this. You can see that under payments here, you have e-wallet, you have cash, you have credit card. These are the three types of payment that were used to collect, that were used during the transaction. So now, so that you can have the proper picture. So what we are saying here is theta LP is our data set, concatenate it with the header where the criteria for the selection is, which is payment. Under payment, like we just see now, we have e-wallet. So when we say payment is equals to e-wallet, we are simply saying that from the whole of this data set, select only record where if you trace the value to payment header, you will see e-wallet. They are the only record we want to see. Is it understood to this line first before I explain the second line?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Now, I was trying to point, I was trying to explain something here because I know this is unusual. You know, all this why when we have a variable like this and we want to display the outcome, we simply call just the variable name and then we get the result. But in this case, that is not what we are doing. In this case, we simply reference the name of the data set before selecting the variable. So which means that in the whole of that data set, you have record equals to e-wallet assembled already in this. So you have, and those records are still in the data set. The only thing is that this syntax must have assembled them in a segment within that data set. So that's why we are saying that, okay, now that they are separated, or now that they are in a particular segment in that data set, now for us to pull them only out, we have to call the data set itself. And then after that, we will now reference select. Remember the function of this square bracket. This square bracket is used when we're learning the basic data selection. We use it to what? To pick out. Like, for example, when we called out an entire column only from the data set, we use that square bracket. So at the moment, I expect that we know what this square bracket represents. It means that from the whole of this, you are picking out what? This. And what is this? What is fit? Fit is only record equals to what? E-wallet. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Emmanuel. Okay. So now, Mr. Emmanuel, you join with two devices. Maybe whenever you want to speak, you may need to mute one, if possible. Okay. So now let's quickly go back to our data and interpret what we have said so far. So I will use comment to be explaining for you to be able to note down your key points. So what exactly what we want to do here is this is data filtering techniques. In Python. So let me mark down and also shift and enter twice just to make it a header. Now under this, let's cite the question. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to call out all the headers in this particular data set so that I will know which of them we go with the analysis. So if I'm to call out the header, the name of the data set, I think is data2. So I will simply say data2, sorry. I'll simply say data2 dot column. So data2 dot column, data2 dot columns will simply help me to call out all the header. Remember, this is part of what we have settled in data inspection. Now, why I brought out only the headings so that I can construct an effective analysis question, because looking at the header will guide you better in knowing how to write your assume analysis task. So the question that will involve the application of the filtering here is the question here is from the Amazon sales data. Beta or display only records or entries. Let me continue the question so that we avoid it too long. Where country, sorry, let me work with where sales channel is equals to offline. Let's say they are the only one we want to see. Where sales channel is equals to offline. So this is the question. And if you look at it, it's just one criteria. selection. The criteria for the selection here is when the value under this channel is equals to offline. So the syntax to answer this question will be, the syntax will simply be, so I will just use the name that describe the task, which is what? Offline. You just say offline. I'm trying to make it more descriptive. Offline says it's equals to. Now the header, the data set itself is data what? Data 2. Then dot the header with the criteria value, which is the sales channel. So I will simply come here, copy it to avoid spelling error. Come here and then paste it. So this is the header. Now you will now concatenate. Remember that you will concatenate this header with the data set, which means that this is a sub element in data 2 as our data frame. Now we'll now say in under this heading, if a value is equals to a string, the offline. So let me copy one of it to avoid Control C. So when you copy and it time out, just click on one of the cell and come back to be active. Control V. Okay, now, like I said, for us to display the value, so what has happened is that this syntax, we go into this data and search for all the offline and make sure that they are in one segment. Because if you look at this data now, you have one offline here, and then you have the next one online, offline. So this will be difficult for them to be pulled out at once. So what that first line that we have written will do is to, first of all, assemble them in one place to be in one segment. Then the second line I want to write now is to simply call out that segment. So I will now reference the name of the data set as a data 2. Then I will now say select. That is from that data 2, select what? This segment, which must have assembled only record equals to e-wallet. So I'll paste it here. So if I run it now, if you look at the data that came out, you see that these are only equals to what? Offline. There is no online record here. So you can see they are all frames. We have about 90, about 100 of them that are equals to offline. Hope is understood.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think you have to, you join with 2 devices. Why can't you switch off one to avoid this audio conflict? All right, so that is for the application of the first filtering concept. And that is, this is the outcome based on the data I was working with. You can see that in alignment with that syntax, if you check under payment now, you have only e-wallet, 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 just like the way we have offline, offline, offline. Now, ordinarily, statistically, you need to present a report. At the end of the day, you tell the company how many of them, okay, you are expected to give a report. So we have to start learning how to, once you have outputted a result, you study that report for observation and, if possible, recommendation. So you go to a particular sheet after you have outputted results and tell them, we have so number of offline transactions or transactions that were made through the offline. Now, you may need to also run for online so that you can compare and contrast and know which one is actually what trending most. So that is the essence of analysis, not just outputting. So you are supposed to take your biro and pen or PowerPoint or Word as soon as you output a result and note down your observation. So if I ask us now, how many of them do we have? We have 100 of them. We have 100 of them. Now, the company may want to know between offline and online, which one is actually making more sales or generating more sales. So it is when you have the actual value of online, just like we did for offline, before you can actually answer that kind of question. So to quickly do that, you copy the same thing. So you do the same thing for offline. Now, let's quickly do for online so that we can present that report. So I'll say online sales is equals to online sales is equal to, so following the same syntax, we call the data set name data2, a dot, the same header, which is as, let me copy it. I think it is sales. Let me copy it, sales channels. To see, yes, sales channel is equals to, quote again, online. Yes, sales channel is equals to online. Then, of course, I will have to filter it out by saying the name of the data set, which is, I'll just type ON and double tap. Double tap will bring it out automatically for you. Press enter if that is the only variable with that keyword. Then I'll select, then I am outputting, sorry, what we are putting here is data2, and then I'll select the online underscore sales. So ON and then double tap, we bring it out, you click on it. Now you have also online. So if you check now, you see that what we have 95 of them. So if you are already documenting your finding, so you can be able to say, after your analysis, you discover that offline sales is actually leading with how many? With 5. So you should be able to point out the correlation, the differences. It's very important. You point it out, not just saying that after your analysis, you discover that online or offline is leading. With how many differences, you need to point it out. So that will not guide the company, maybe probably when they want to make some investments regarding to say channel, they will know which of them they should prioritize. So that is the essence of our analysis, not just outputting the result. We need to also make sure that we write our observation. And then where you notice that the differences are much, for example, let's assume that the offline gave us 100, and then the online is giving us something like 50 or 30, then there is an alarm. So you need to recommend, you need to find out why is that online, because the difference is much. So it is possible that there is something that ought to have been done that have not been done. So you need to find out and suggest it. That is where recommendation comes in. You are recommending that based on the outcome of your analysis, based on the identification of the weakness of a particular variable in your data, then you have to tell them, okay, they should go this way, or they should change this or that strategy. Is that clear? Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's proceed. Now, remember when I started, I mentioned filter by criteria and filter by what? Threshold. So let's quickly look at the threshold aspect. Filter by threshold value. So I gave us a bit explanation of it then, but let me just run through it again. So if you look at the nature of the question, you will know that there are filters that will require a threshold application, and there are filters that will require the string criteria. So they are all under filtering, but depending on how the question is put on you. So if you look at this now, the question we are answering here, I'm using that same data, not the one we are using. So we'll construct an equivalent task. So to display rows from a particular column where values are greater than a particular number, where values are greater than a particular number, where value are greater than a particular number, that is when the issue of threshold comes in. What is the syntax here? Now, LP is the data set itself, and then we select, that is, you are not involving all the data. Out of the entire frame, you are filtering, you are selecting one particular segment based on the specified criteria. So LP select, that is from LP data frame, select. Then, because we need to concatenate the header involved, so that is why we repeated the LP, so that we can, this LP here is just to allow you to select. So whatever you put in here is the data that will determine the criteria that will be used for the selection. So the data dot total, that is, with this time around, we are working with the values under total. So there is a header called total, where we are saying that you should only display the value in there where is greater than 550. Sorry, 550 is what? 550. So if you look at my breakdown here, this is the data sets name, both of them. Then here is the column name where the criteria value is. Then why this operator is the analysis operator, which signify what? Greater than. Why this 550 is the analysis criteria. So I hope we understand that before I switch to our data. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
okay. Now I also mentioned that if you don't want to use this, you can as well use other operator sign. Like you can use other filter operators. We have equals to, so I can change this place to equals to. So which means that it will only fetch out record equals to whatever that comes after it. I can also change it to less than sign, so depending on the question you are answering. And what we are answering now, this is its interpretation. Display only record under total, heading greater than what? 550. Now, let's go to our data set and try and see how we can relate this threshold technique to answer a valid question. So if I should bring down my data two again so that we can construct the question together. So like this data two now, we can be asked, I'm targeting profit now. I'm targeting profit column. So let's assume that we are asked to, the company wants to display only a record where profit is greater than, these are a million. Let's say greater than 9 million. Let's assume greater than 9 million. So those are the only record they want to see. Now, they may have a motive for wanting to see that. Maybe that they want to do a statistical analysis that will tell them how many of the customers actually purchase the worth of what is above what 9 million. They want to know probably the reoccurrence of this set of transactions. So there could be other reasons why this kind of filtering will be needed. So now let's quickly write our question. So this is filtering by threshold. So what is the task? The task is from the above data frame, filter only total profits greater greater than 9 million. So our syntax for this will simply be, I'll call the data set data 2. From there, I'm selecting data 2 also. Then I'm concatenating the header involved where the criteria is, which is this. Let me just take it. Now, there will be a problem here or challenge. You can see that because we were supposed to have edited this header. This header was not structured properly. This space is an issue to Python. So in this kind of scenario, you are not going to use the dot method to select this. You are not going to use the dot method. You are going to use, or let me see if I use this inverted to highlight it, it will take it off. No. We are going to select it with this. That is what will create another square bracket. S. I'll put it inside. And then remember that if I'm putting it here, I have to put it as a string. I have to put it as a string, not just calling the name. So now I will just put the greater than here outside it. So admin is a single word. It won't have involved this. So I will say, remember, we say 9 million. So let me just put the 9 million, 9, 2. Now, this is not saved in any valid variable. So if you had put this now to just display, so you cannot use it subsequently. So I'll quickly say, this is a, what will I use now? Total profits. Total profit underscore greater underscore than 9 million. I'm trying to see how I can capture this. Let me just say what 9M equals to. Now, what I'm trying to do is that I want the result to be stored in a valid variable in case I want to reference it subsequently. So now if I want to see the answer, I will have to probably call the variable name, double tap. Once you type the first 2 letters, press enter, then run it. So what happened here is that no value was outputted. Let's check what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have value greater than 9 million. Or are they not in million? We have value greater than that. Let me check properly. So since it did not output any error, it means that criteria is not met, but I want to find out if today we don't have value greater than 9 million. We have, this is 9 million plus. Okay, so let me be precise with any of this. Let me see.
So that is not 9 million. That's
it's not 9 million, sir.
This is okay.
It's less
than
than
1 million.
This is let's count here.
It's 951,000
951. Okay,
410.
so that means the function is correct. So let's just put it for 900. 900. That is 900,000, right?
That's 90,000.
Right. This is 90,000. So this is
okay.
This is 900. So let me run it and see. Okay, so perfect. So we have results now. So let's go to that column again and check if all the values there are actually greater than 900,000. So you can see it. So the function work correctly. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
all right, so let's go back to the sheet and see if you can do other things. So this is the same logic, but applying different method. If you want to get it using this method. So I consider the first one to be better because this one, just like you are duplicating for almost the same thing, just like what I did now. You remember that when I got to the aspect of the header having two words, I have to bring in this. That is what is happening here. So this is what I eventually use, where I call this. Now, had it been the header is just a single word, then we'll have just added a period, a dot, and then assigned the criteria. So this is what we have actually applied. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So now that is for one criteria. So let's quickly look at if it is more than one criteria. Now, for example, supposing you are asked to filter, because in this case, the criteria we use for the filtering is just the value under total profit. Now, at DBIN, you are asked to filter based on filter filter a country, where or filter total profit. Yeah, well, I'm looking at the perfect scenario based on this data. Okay, I'm not saying, let me scroll down here. Okay. So let's say here we are asked to filter values equals to offline and order priority H. So it's not just offline now. So it's not going to filter this one because, let me check for order. It's not going to filter this one because the priority is not equals to H. So this is two criteria. It can also go on and on like that to 3 criteria, to 4 criteria. You can say, okay, filter offline equals to order priority H, where a country is equals to value. That is 3 criteria. So if you stop at what I have done so far, you may not be able to answer multiple criteria questions. So that is why I have to come up with this. But the focus is on this one. So that is what we shall be focusing on. So let's look at how we can apply multiple criteria for filtering. So let me just explain before I switch to my notebook. So what we are simply saying here is that the TH is the name of the data set I was working with, just like we have data 2 now. And that is what I repeated here. I'm selecting here this selection bracket. Inside the selection bracket, the first one is a function bracket, which is parentheses. Inside it, then I repeated the name of the data set, concatenate it with gender, because here I was selecting based on female gender, just like the same concept. The only thing I introduced here outside the structure is the AND for multiple criteria, AND. So this is the first selection criteria. And then after the AND, this is the second selection criteria. So in other words, we are saying that select where gender is equals to female, and also where the payment of that gender is equals to what? E-wallet. Otherwise, do not select it. That is what we are saying. And then you're also saying that even if the gender is equals to female and the e-wallet is, sorry, and the payment method is e-wallet, that record should not be selected until the value in total is equals to this. So this is about 3 criteria. If you want to go to up to 4 criteria, you will just come here and put the and, the reference that column, and then supply the what? The criteria. Is that clear?
It's not too clear, sir. You just take it back again.
Mr. Emmanuel, did you understand it? Or you are on the same page with Mr. Vitri?
Yes, I'm on the same page, sir.
Okay, now, did we understand to this length?
Yes, sir.
If you understand to this length, it's the same thing. It means that here, this is the end. I can as well take off the whole of this. So which means that I am selecting with one criteria.
The gender.
Now, good, gender, just like the one we have done. Now, for the fact that I want to use 3 different criteria for the selection, that is why I introduce and then I call the name of the data set again, concatenated it with the header with the second criteria for the selection, which is a wallet. Then and again, remember that all these, they are still inside this square bracket. This is the only place that you are replicating, starting from the parenthesis bracket to the name of the data set, the header with the criteria for the selection. That is what we are replicating. Is that clear now?
Yes,
Okay.
it's clear now.
Okay, so even if it's not clear from the data sets as we apply it, you understand it better now. So let's quickly go to, let's go to, so here, filtering with multiple criteria. So what is the task here? The task here is looking at our data cis channel equals to offline where, or let's use and so that it will correspond with the center. And okay, so we can still use where, but we still have the third one, where country or where order priority. Where order priority is H and country is to value. So this one captured the three criteria. So I will have started with 2 criteria, then upgrade to 3 criteria and so on. But it's the same format. You can as well do that. So just to answer the question, the syntax will be, I'll start by calling the data set name, which is data2. Then I will open the square bracket. Then inside the square bracket, I will open the parenthesis bracket or the function bracket. I will call data2 again. Then concatenate, the first criteria says offline. So I will concatenate the offline header, which is let me scroll this way, which is say channel. Since there is underscore, I can actually concatenate with period. Okay, so I will say that is where value in C channel header is equals to offline. So that is the end of the first criteria. You now come outside the
parenthesis bracket. You are still inside the square bracket. You simply do and, that is, you are about introducing the second criteria. Now, you don't need to do square brackets. You just do the function bracket. You select the data again, data 2. Then dot the header with the second criteria, which is priority. So I'll go there and get it, order priority. So that is also a single word because there is underscore. If not, I will have selected it with another square bracket. Now, where this is also equals to a string, is equals to H. Letter H is written in capital letter. So you are done with that criteria. You come outside, you do and again for the second, then you open the parenthesis bracket. Then the third header is country. Country, so I'll take country, Control C. So once you understand the logic, so I'll say data 2 dot country. Once you understand the logic, it's very simple. So I think I have to type it again. Country. Then country is equals to value. I think to value is spelled, let me check to avoid. Okay. Control C. So if I want to go on to 4 criteria, I will just come out here while I am still inside the square bracket, put and, then open the parenthesis bracket, call the data set, concatenate it with the header with the criteria. I hope it's clear like this now.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Emmanuel, are you still there? Mr. Emmanuel, hope you are still there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, so now I would like the result to be stored in a valid variable. So I will just come here. I will say, what will I use now? What will I use? I will say, okay, so let me just use, because if I output it like this now, it will show the result. So you just want that is qualified. You just want that meets that criteria based on the 3 of them. So if you reduce the criteria to 2, I believe you have more record capture. So now this is just a display outcome. So you need to store it in a variable. So I can just say says equals to, so that in case I want to reference it in my subsequent analysis, I can always pull it out from that variable. So let me just call it to output. Right? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's see if we can add one more thing before we stop. So let's quickly apply this. I will have allowed us to do classwork, but I discovered that most of us, our laptops are slow, so that we don't waste time. So you take your time to sit down and go through it. I believe everything is clear. Now let us look at, let's add additional function for us to speed up a little. So this is another concept that is very much useful in analyzing data. Counting and getting unique value. Counting and getting unique value. This one is going to be very, very, very useful to you in most of your analysis, particularly when you are doing aggregate analysis. So what is the function we are introducing here is value underscore count. How do we use this function to exploit our data for insights? Like I've stated here, count the numbers of times each unique, the emphasis is on unique value appears in a data or in a certain column. So using that same data set, what I did here, PD is a pandas, or PD means what? Pandas, which is a library. it is that library that is offering us the function value underscore count. That is why we are referencing the library. That is what we are calling the function from that library called PD. PD dot values underscore counts. Then in the function, we are supplying parameters like the name of your data and then the criteria for the selection. So the outcome this is going to generate is that under gender heading, you probably have 2 unique values, male and female. So it's going to give you the total count of the entire data and aggregate the answer based on the unique value. Did you understand that?
No.
Yes, sir.
What about you, Mr. Vitri?
Yes, but it's not too clear anyway.
Okay, so now let me break it down in a way that you understand it, or let me even go to the data set application. From there, you understand it better. Now, let me bring out my data too and use this data to explain it. I believe you will get it now. Now, you are asked question like, how many unique we have different country, unique country under country feature. If you are asked how many transactions were made per country, you are going to involve this value underscore counts, because what you'll be doing then is to count the total numbers of entry per country. So you are going to list out. Let me give you a practical. So just that you are saying that under to value, it will give you equals to 300 of them or 30. Then to bring out the next country, which is Grenada, to bring out the next country and tell you this country total number of entry in the data set are 40. So what is going to happen is that it's going to list out the country, the unique country, and aggregate the total number of entry against each of them. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go for the application now. So here is let me use this phrase, counting analysis using value underscore counts function underscore count function. So what is the analysis task is that analyze total number of entries per country. This is the task. So the company wants to know how many entries are in this data set per what? Country, per country. So per country. So remember the syntax is this particular function, the value underscore count is derived from pandas library. So that is why we are saying PD dot the function itself, value underscore counts. Value underscore count. Now, being a function, you have to open the parenthesis bracket. Once you have done that, you reference the name of the data you are calling these values from, or you are performing this counting analysis, which is data 2. Then you are saying that from data 2, because you have other header there, pick or select. So that square bracket means select from the entire container, pick some, that is the expression of that square bracket. Then you now quote the header. The header you want to perform it counting is country, because your question says that you should count, you should aggregate the count of the country, sorry, the entry per country. So you bring in country here. So if I run it now, it's going to display only, so it's not going to be stored in a valid variable that I can recall in the course of my analysis. So what I'm going to do is to say the values you are going to display should be stored in a valid variable. So I will just say what? Count underscore analysis. Okay, no, let me use more descriptive based on the question, because the question says analyze total numbers of entries per country. So I will say what? Total underscore number underscore entries underscore per country. It's very important to use descriptive so that will help you even when you come back and okay, this is what I actually did here. So if I run it now, the answer is generated. So whenever you run a function and you see this kind of message instead of error, it only denotes that this particular method is not too compatible with the version of the Anaconda or the notebook you are using. That does not mean that there is error. So now if I want to test if I have actually done that analysis, so I will just say to view the results, I'll simply call the name of the data frame. Simply call the data name. And how do I call it? Because where you have a very long variable name like this, it will be very stressful for you to start typing it. That is why I introduced that logic of you typing the first two letters, TO. Once I type TO like this, TO, then I will double tap. There is a button on your keyboard that says TAB. That is what? Tab. Just press it 2 times. So once you press it 2 times, you see that well, it will list out all the variables that have that keyword. So you can just pick the one you want, which is this one, and then press Control or run your code. So you can see what has happened now. I believe it's clearer now, right? With the results inputted. So what is the interpretation? The Gambia has what? 4.
4 entries.
So, and we have, so you can see it now. So remember I said you should always learn to write your observation at the end of each analysis. So you pick your, because your assignment, that is how you will present it. Your assignment, at the end of each of these analysis, I want you to go to PowerPoint and write down your observation. Like this one now, my observation is that what? The Gambia has what? The highest entry, followed by Sierra Leone. Now, there is another observation which you should point out to the company, that you notice that 4 countries has what? The same
uniform number. Yeah.
The same number of what? Transaction. Sierra Leone, Sao Tome, and what? Principe. I don't know all these their German names. So you can see that. So you list them out. You list them out and tell the company that after your analysis, you discover that 4 different countries, are they even 4 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them have the same number of what? Transaction. All this, we have a way of influencing their decision. Is very important. Okay. Now, there is another good observation here. You will notice that about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries also have the least numbers of entry,
And
which is what? 1.
1.
So you write down this, then you also point out the correlation or the outlier. The correlation here is that the difference between the highest and the what? The lowest is the first correlation you should point out. The highest is what? Is 4.
4.
And the least is what? 1. So what is the correlation? 3. Right? 3. That is the correlation. That is to tell you this is the kind of situation whereby you should have a suggestion, not just recommend, not just observation. You can see that the difference is much. Difference of 3. So you should ponder here and ask yourself, what could have led to this one underperforming when this one is 4, this one is just 1? It is possible that maybe the product they are selling in that region, or there are other factors that you will not start looking into and see how you can help the company by opening their eyes to some of these things.
So you now go back to the data set and start running some other analysis just to find out why is this one underperforming. Could it be that the products in this region are not well entertained, or maybe the people in this region they are not, they don't like that product because the sales here is very low compared to what other regions that are doing well. So these are things you check each time you analyze, because the stakeholders, they don't have any interest in all these things that you are doing. This is just your technical work that will lead to your final report presentation, that will lead to your insights presentation, that will influence them in decision making. So they don't expect that you come and start showing them all this work that you are doing here. What you have been able to deduce from all this analysis that could be meaningful in terms of decision making is what they want to see. So it's either you go to PowerPoint and write them down and even present to them like that, or you go to Microsoft Word and list out all your observations, then also outline your recommendation. That is what we call the executive report, which is the main aspect of this field. So report writing is another skill set required. It's not just having the technical skill. I've said it before in Mr. Emmanuel's class. You need to know how to use PowerPoint to document, or even Microsoft Word, any of the text editor. So you should be able, just like the way I told us when we started, that when you are given data to analyze as a data analyst, the first thing is for you to take time to understand the data. That is why we spend some time talking about inspection techniques or functions in Python, and then we move towards data cleaning techniques in Python. All of that are steps that are required. You have to start by understanding the data. Then, in the process of studying the data, you will discover that there are some places that have error. There are some places that are not properly structured in a way that you as a data analyst can easily derive your insight that will be presented for decision making. So it will now become your responsibility to restructure the data in a format or in a structure that will enhance your insight derivation. That is what we refer to as data cleaning. Any form of adjustments you are performing on a given data that change its state from the way it was given to you. Any of such operation falls under what? Data cleaning. Then, the last one is that after you have cleaned your data, you start your analysis. After you have analyzed, you start studying the reports. But what I discover some of us are doing and calling ourselves data analysts is just running all this breakdown, running all these These are just technical. At the end of the day, you should be able to present your final outcome in a non-technical format. What do I mean? That boss that you are working for is not a technical person, is not an IT person. So there is no point of you using technical terms to communicate. You come down to a level of a non-technical person. And that is why report writing, putting it in English, after my analysis, I discovered that this country, you mentioned it, has the highest number of what? Sales or entry or transaction, followed by this country, then followed by this other country. And I also observe all these I'm saying, you are putting them in writing. So when you are done writing the whole thing, for example, and you discover that you are not good at writing, a sentence or good sentence, what do? Whatever you are able to write, write it. When you are done, copy it and go to ChatGPT. Let me show you. Go to ChatGPT. Just go to ChatGPT. I think I have already exposed us to how you can exploit what? ChatGPT. Every tech expert today, including me, we are exploring AI to fix a lot of things. So there's no point of view. If you are weak in one area, you should know how to use the AI to be able to correct certain things. So let's assume that you have written the whole of that your statement. Let's just demonstrate one now. You see what I'm talking about. So let's assume that here, let's assume, because I would like you to do the same thing as you submit your assignment on what we have done so far today. So let's say I want to start writing my observation now. My observation after this particular analysis, which says that I should count based on each country. So let's assume I'm just saying this, that I observed that, I quote, remember that this should be comment.
Comment.
So I observed that, what is that country? The Gambia.
Gambia.
Let me say Control C to copy it. The Gambia has the highest what? In this case now, because this is sales transaction, has the highest number. We cannot say the highest sales because Gambia can have 5. By the time we start doing aggregate analysis now, where we will now be summarizing total profit generated per this same country, you will discover that even the country that have 3 entry might have the highest total profit generated. So don't let us say that had the highest sales. Instead, let us say has the highest numbers of transaction. So let's assume that this is the best I could do. And I'm trying, before I present my report, I'm trying to find out whether my sentence is good. So you just highlight it, Control C, then go to your ChatGPT. So once you get here, you say, act as a data analyst. Help me correct this sentence. So you quote it. What do you want to correct for you? Control C. Let me go back and copy again. Control C, Control V, then quote it. So once you run it, click here. Certainly, here are correct. And look at this. I observe that the Gambia has the highest number of what? Transaction. So what did it correct here now? It removed S. If you remember, look at the way I did it. I put S here. Now, the ChatGPT was able to correct it. So what I will now do is to take this corrected one, Control C also, then go back to where I'm writing my report. It could be in PowerPoint. It could be anywhere. Are we following?
Yes, sir.
So you paste it. So this age of technology, there are a lot of lapses that you can cover. Somebody will not know that you are not good at this, you are not good at that. So it's just for you to know how to use. You must have one AI platform you are using. Remember, there was a time I showed us how you can actually use this same ChatGPT to construct analysis question. I don't know if it was this class.
No, sir.
Mr. Emmanuel, are you aware of that? It was this class, but then you have not joined. Mr. Jolly was in that class. Mr. Jolly, welcome, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to end it here. So our assignment is to do exactly what we have done. So try and draft different analysis questions using this same data or any other related SIS data that you feel you can work better with. Make sure that you use comment to explain, and at the end of the day, dedicate an entire cell for assembling all your observation. So pick each of the questions and then write down the observation. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So see us next week.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.